We have some familiar names on the participant list. Thank you for taking the time to join us for the Farmers Market Coalition's annual member meeting. This is Jen Cheek speaking, currently Director of Programs at the Farmers Market Coalition. Hopefully you saw the announcements go out in December that after almost 7 years of being Executive Director of the Farmers Market Coalition, I am stepping into a different role as Director of Programs, and Ben Feldman, our wonderful Director of Policy, will be stepping into the role as Interim Executive Director as of this week. So we're very excited to be making that transition. It's something that I needed to do at the time for my family, but I'm really excited that I can stay on with FMC in this new role and make sure that we have really consistent and wonderful slate of programs continuing through 2019 and supporting Ben and the rest of staff in making sure that our goals are continued to be met. So Ben is on the line with us today, and he is going to be jumping in later on to talk about all of our wonderful plans for 2019. But in the meantime, I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek into the Farmers Market Coalition annual report and walk through a little bit about our accomplishments from 2018 that have set up our goals for 2019, and hear from you guys about some questions and any initiatives that you would like to know more about. So the other exciting thing that is happening today is the opening of our election for the 2019 Board of Directors. And I will put a link into the chat box unless it is already there. Hopefully it's there now, to the election, which is now open. Let me share my screen so you can see what it looks like. Our Board of Directors elections happen online. So you'll see here, it's a Google form. And it's a pretty easy ballot. We need your name and your information because we have to make sure everyone who votes is a member. And then you just select the 4 candidates that you would like and hit submit. It's pretty easy. And there's a link in here, and I'll include it in the chat box as well, to our slate of candidates. And that takes you here. There's lots of wonderful information about each one. The nominations committee works to pull together a slate that is representative of all regions across the country, so that to fill out the greater board, and also has wonderful skill sets in fundraising and legal expertise that are really necessary on the board right now. So do take some time to review these wonderful candidates and make your selections. And during this call, if you have questions about anything, feel free to add them to the chat box. And also, you should be able to raise your hand, and we can call on you to unmute yourself, and you can speak directly to us. Okay, so I believe that link is in the chat box. Let me know if anyone has a problem with it, and we'll get rolling. So actually, I wanted to start with a review of our current wonderful board. You can see here, hopefully you've had a chance to interact with them. The board has been wonderful in the past year about really connecting with market managers from across the country. We have our executive committee, Hugo, Brian, Gary, and Christy. Some exciting news, Christy just had a baby this week, and she was coming to the end of her term and won't be running for re-election in the upcoming year, but we were really grateful to have her for the terms in which she served. And we're excited for her new addition. The rest of the board, and I see a good number of them are on the call today, so if you do have questions about specific issues that they're knowledgeable about, we can connect you guys as well. So I'm going to go back to the top here. Now this annual report will be released later this week, but it really highlights the goals that FMC set at the beginning of the year when the board had their in-person meeting in DC, and how some of those immediate goals have played out The staff and Ben, as interim director, will be analyzing how successful those initiatives were to set our goals for the strategic plan, which will be completed this year by the board, and hopefully be a 3 to 5 year plan for FMC. So this is really, we tried to do a lot of documenting this year of our performance indicators and really get a sense of how we were doing in terms of serving our membership. So our annual report and this presentation are set up in this way. Why farmers markets? Why are we doing the work we're doing? What kind of impact are we having? What does our coalition look like? We did some multiple surveys this year to get a sense of how our membership is currently using the services we offer, and a later survey that hopefully most of you participated in on what our membership really looks like. What are market organizations doing? What are their goals? And so we have a quick snapshot of what that survey looked like, although keep an eye out for more detailed analysis in the next month or so. And then I'm going to go over some of our accomplishments from the year and turn it over to Ben. So first of all, we just wanted to make it clear that farmers markets really do have a really broad range of initiatives. And even though as members and as markets, organizations typically are focused on one goal or the other, we really want to support markets so that communities can benefit from this broad range of outcomes. Resilient farmers and farmland, access to fresh, nutritious food, stronger local economies, connected communities, meaning that there's civic and social cohesion, and also environmental stewardship, both because customers are learning about environmental stewardship from the farmers they're working with, and providing farmers who are offering alternatives to conventional farming methods a place to market and communicate and educate with their customers. So in order to help managers and program managers to reach those goals and get those outcomes, FMC has taken on 5 strategies. And these, again, were defined by the board at the beginning of last year at the in-person meeting when they sort of a mid-strategic planning process. And these 5 strategies or priorities of FMC are supporting market success by providing members best-in-class operational tools and resources, advocating for farmers markets at the national level, facilitating national grassroots advocacy, promoting the value of farmers markets to the public, and facilitating peer-to-peer networking opportunities for members. And it was really interesting in our survey on FMC's services at the beginning of the year to learn that a lot of our resources are unknown to our members. We have an insane amount of resources on our website, so it sometimes can be hard to highlight ones that may be older on there but are still really relevant to a lot of market managers, and make sure that people can easily access resources quickly when they need them. So that's a real priority from the member survey that we received at the beginning of the year that we're going to be working on, as well as promoting the value of farmers markets to the public. That was something that members were really interested in FMC focusing on in the upcoming years. So all of our activities are broken into these 5 categories to help us better measure them. And a shorthand for them is advocate, connect, build capacity, and promote. So in 2018, we did have a pretty great year despite a lot of challenges, and these numbers are reflective of that. 450 market managers were provided in-person training covering market operations, promotion, managing market risks, and data collection. These were at conferences, including the National Direct Agricultural Marketing Summit, but also at state conferences and at regional sustainable agriculture conferences. There are 631 online guides, templates, and reports available in FMC's resource library. If you haven't checked out the resource library recently, I encourage you to do so. There are some great guides from on administering SNAP, templates for market evaluations, and data collection, all sorts of wonderful things from your peers in the resource library. 400 attendees participated in the first ever National Direct Agricultural Marketing Summit. We had 129 legislative offices engaged this year. It was a huge year with the Farm Bill, which was passed just in the nick of time at the end of the year. And we also had our first farmer fly-in project in January, which resulted in 22 in-person meetings in Capitol Hill. And within the Farm Bill, we had some great wins, $250 million over 5 years in permanent mandatory funding for the local agricultural market program, which includes the Farmers Market Promotion Program and the Local Food Promotion Program, as well as $250 million over 5 years in mandatory permanent funding for the Gus Schumacher Nutrition Incentives Program, which was included in the 2018 Farm Bill and is renamed for Gus from the Feeney program. And $117,000 was sort of pass-through funds from FMC awarded to 45 of our members through various grant programs and awards. And we had 1,670 downloads of the National Farmers Market Week Media Kit, which markets across the country use to help create buzz and generate interest in National Farmers Market Week, which we're trying to get a sense of how that spills over into customer attendance through the rest of the year. And we had 32 million views of hashtag Farmers Market Week posts across social media. Oops. And our coalition has really changed and grown. Oh, and it looks like Anesta put our link to the FMC Resource Library in the chat box if you want to snoop around there. The coalition, currently we have 1,515 members. And everyone working together to build a stronger, more resilient, more equitable food system. And we're incredibly excited this year to really have spent a lot of time developing our state partner program. The state associations that have cropped up across the country over the life of FMC have been really integral in supporting the growth of farmers markets in general. And it's been a goal of FMC since we began in 2006 to support the growth of farmers market associations. So the state partner program allows us to do that by really easily giving them access to all of our services. And what the state partner program means is that, for example, the Alaska Farmers Market Association, if any markets in Alaska join that association, they automatically have membership with FMC as well. So it allows us to better support the members of that state by having a better sense of what is going on in that state and what their priorities are, and also allows the state association full access to all of our services. So these are some, just a quick overview of results from the market organization survey that was sent out at the end of the year. We had 437 market organizations respond from all 50 states and District of Columbia. So we were pretty excited to see that 48% of the market orgs responded that they did collect sales data from their vendors. This is a huge change from even 5 years ago when that was sort of an unheard of practice. And FMC has dedicated a lot of time to encourage data collection, incorporating methods into market management and providing tools to allow you to do data collection throughout the year. So the fact that almost 50% of the respondents were collecting that data was indicative of how the landscape has changed and also how FMC's work is impacting our members. The other most exciting piece that we learned from this survey was that markets are building stronger relationships with public officials. 51% invited an elected official to their market in the last season, and of those, 75% had the elected official attend their market. So that was a huge success rate and shows that local officials care about their constituents and care about getting that face time with them and understanding what's going on the ground. So you really do have a good chance of engaging your local elected officials, and you should, if you haven't already, you should make an effort to connect with them and get them out to the market so they can see the good work you're doing. We really think that having those visits is just the best way that we can help move legislation forward for markets and make people understand the real impact that they're having. So if you haven't checked out our advocacy toolkit, there are some guides there into inviting your local official to your market, as well as some wonderful videos from Gary Madison, one of our board members, on how to best interact with them and how to be comfortable and an effective market interaction. So the next on this survey were that markets are leading the way in defining what it means to be local. A lot of conversations we have with markets out there now are them trying to compete with this sort of saturated local food marketplace. Grocery stores and other folks are using the term local and the term farmers market when it may not be relevant. And so markets are really stepping up and filling that void and making sure their customers know what it means when they say local. 88.6% of the market orgs that responded do enforce their definition of local in some way. And the way that markets are defining what it means to be local, 33% use mileage, 25% say that local is within their state, 15% use a multi-county region. For example, DC might include, you know, the states and the counties surrounding. 12% use a multi-state region. And lastly, in our little highlight reel here are that markets are at the forefront of increasing access to healthy food. 7 out of the 10 market respondents to our survey accepted SNAP benefits on site. Again, that's a huge place of growth over the past 10 years. And we're excited to help continue that. Oh, and up here at the top, we have a list of the challenges that were reported in descending order. So the #1 challenge that was reported in the survey was the need for more staffing and volunteer capacity for marketing. And then down the list, problems were older growers, the need for younger producers, the issue of reselling and needing farm inspections, market location instability, organizational disarray, sort of the absence of any operational systems, high market staff turnover, weather and environmental influences. If you are on the listserv, you'll see there's been a lot of discussion about how climate change and weather has impacted market sales over this past season. Too little diversity in products, organizational budget was too low to meet annual expenses, too few shoppers, low SNAP participation, and too few farmer vendors for markets. So we will be using what is learned at that survey to identify which resources and programs FMC will be dedicating our time to in 2019 and beyond. And as I mentioned, we'll be releasing back to you guys a more detailed analysis of the full survey. Now on to the really exciting good news. We had big wins in the Farm Bill this year. As I mentioned, it was passed just in the nick of the time at the end of the year. We have been working many years to make sure that legislators understood the importance of the farmers market promotion program, and the FENI program, as well as the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. And we've been using a couple different angles to try to find some resolution to an issue that has been ongoing about farmers markets not being able to use their SNAP processing equipment at more than one market location. So these were 4 huge wins that we saw in the Farm Bill that, as I mentioned before, there is permanent mandatory funding for the LAMP program, which is the new name for a combined group of programs that includes the Farmers Market and Local Food Promotion Program. And that means that if there is a lapse in appropriations or the next round of the Farm Bill, these tiny but mighty programs, as we call them, will have mandatory funding. They can't sort of be taken out of the funding opportunities. So as I mentioned before, we had our first farmer fly-in. You can see this picture down here of the great group of farmers and market managers that we brought to Capitol Hill, who really had an amazing audience with legislators. A lot of the time when you go to the Hill, you meet with staffers, and even in instances where we had made appointments with staffers, we had legislators showing up and wanting to take the meeting with those farmers because it was important to them to interact with them. And they did an incredible job speaking about the importance that farmers markets have to their work. So we're really grateful to that group, and we've been able to keep them in touch with their legislators throughout the year, and hopefully we'll be able to bring more folks to the Hill in the future. The National Direct Agricultural Marketing Summit was another huge success for FMC. We've wanted many years for there to be a national conference for direct market operators. And this year we were able to collaborate with the USDA and the Food Distribution Research Society, as well as the Value Added Conference and Farm Credit Council, to bring these groups of people together who are all working on direct marketing. So we would have the market operators, the researchers from the Food Distribution Research Society, as well as the extension agents and technical assistance providers from the Value Added Conference, all in the same place so that connections could be made, folks could learn from each other, as well as leave the conference with a plan for working more closely with these other organizations. So we were very excited to have about 129 folks register for FMC's pre-conference workshops, which were on managing market risk with the Vermont Law School. Farmers Market Legal Toolkit was the presentation. Maintaining Market Integrity, which is the picture you see here with Colleen Donovan and Brian Copham, which was a really interesting conversation that we will be continuing in 2019. And Building Market Capacity with Data Collection and Communication, which was on FMC's Farmers Market Metrics resources. We got a lot of great feedback from people who attended the conference. The biggest piece of feedback we got was that people were so excited to be in the same room together and to be able to have those conversations with market managers. So next year, for the next iteration of the Direct Ag Summit, we're really going to try to focus on how we can curate those networking opportunities and discussions and really focus on allowing folks to talk and connect in that way rather than have so many presentations. And another thing that we're going to focus on is sort of better integrating the presentations. This was sort of a big experiment by the USDA. What can we get these groups together and have a really meaningful experience? And while that happened, we certainly learned that there were some ways we can organize in a more cohesive way and make it a little more streamlined for attendees. So we're excited to take on those challenges. And we do have a time, October 6th through 9th in the Chicago area, to collaborate with the Value Added Conference next year and host the second, hopefully, annual National Direct Agricultural Marketing Summit. In terms of building capacity, FMC worked really hard to build and continue to maintain our web resources for market managers. And this is one of the things that we're really going to focus on, making sure that we are promoting to members regularly throughout the year so that you don't forget these resources available and have to rebuild the wheel at any time. So the things that we've been focusing on were the resource library. Again, I mentioned all the reports, templates, and examples. The Market Manager FAQs is a resource that was put together many years ago, but it's online, and we've been working to make sure it stays up to date. So that's frequently asked questions by market managers on market operations, increasing access, all sorts of great videos from market managers from across the country. The state-by-state index was new this year. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like real quick. And this was a result of us trying to help support state associations and state initiatives a little bit more. Ooh, I don't know if that worked. Let me give that one more try. Here we go. So this is FMC's state resources. You get there by going to resources on our website and going down to state resources, and you'll see a map of the US, and you can click on your state or any other state to see what is going on there. The other thing we have here is a list of some state and city initiatives that we're tracking. These include EBT equipment and state SNAP contracts, statewide farmers market definitions, state and citywide food access initiatives, and statewide farmers market promotion programs. So you can go into here and learn more about those initiatives, and we'll be updating them regularly. And as I mentioned, you can click on any state here, and we have them updated with if there's an association, the association information, the FMC contact person that you should use to update this if you have some information to share. as well as state SNAP contact information, the ag department, and who you should contact for farmers market nutrition program and senior farmers market nutrition program. And we also have updated these sites with news stories, with any resources the states have. So you can check here, you can search to see if there's anything going on in your state regarding whatever you're interested in. But I encourage you to check it out. And let us know if there's something going on in your state that you want posted there so that everyone else can see it. We also have the SNAP guide for farmers markets, which is basically us compiling all the wonderful information that exists out there so you don't have to. We link to great guides and resources that both market networks and state associations have created, and we try to build on that information when it's necessary. And again, it's completely online, so it's up to date and updated regularly. A webinar archive, which has all of our webinars from the past 5 years or so. And you can go back and watch them anytime. And the Pop Club Toolkit, which is our Power of Produce Club. And it provides a lot of really engaging, wonderful programming for kids at markets. There's all sorts of templates for ideas of activities to do, potential budgets, ways to seek out sponsors, educational activities. If you're interested in programming, Pop Club has had a wonderful response from so many markets. So these were all existing resources that we built on this year at FMC. We had a brand new resource introduced in January, the Farmers Market Legal Toolkit. The Legal Toolkit was created over the past 3 years in partnership with the Center for Agricultural and Food Systems at the Vermont Law School and Anofa, Vermont. We worked with them to create these 3 buckets: pick a business structure, implement SNAP EBT, and manage your risks. You can go into here and learn about what is the best type of business structure is best for your market, what are the requirements in terms of leadership, what are the liabilities. We have case studies from markets across the country. There are templates, there are checklists. We're really, really excited about this resource. If you haven't taken a look at it, it's farmersmarketlegaltoolkit.org. And I'm thinking, yep, Anesta dropped the link into the chat box. So do take a look in there. We're going to be working with the Vermont Law School to figure out how we can make sure this resource stays up to date and also address some of the legal issues that we weren't able to cover, but we know markets are still having issues with. And Farmers Market Metrics. Well, not a brand new resource for FMC. We've been working on this for a couple of years now. We do have new resources within Market Metrics added regularly. You'll see here on the right is a summary report from the Richmond area farmers markets. We've been working closely with the Virginia Farmers Market Association to help them do some data collection, as well as think about how we can use this data to better promote the markets as networks. So this is representative of 7 markets in the Richmond, Virginia area, and you can see that it really shows a significant impact. 37 vendors are young or beginning farmers. 638 employees are supported by the vendors' businesses. 126 of their vendors are women or minority businesses. 32 miles is the average distance that food travels from farm to market around Richmond, which is a really wonderful stat to use. And 5,927 acres of diversified farmland are kept in production by vendors from these 7 markets. So that's really a huge impact, and they've been doing a great job about using this summary report to talk to their ag department, to talk to potential funders, to talk to folks to get excited about supporting markets in Virginia. And this is our last year of our FMPP working with them on this project. So we're really going to focus on getting these stats out into the general public, working with influencers on social media, and other ways that we can get these stats in front of potential customers and convince them to get to the market and better educate them about the impacts. And Anesta put in the chat box the farmersmarketmetrics.guide site, which is where you'll find all the information about farmers market metrics if you're interested in using some of the data collection resources yourself. I'll show you that real quick. This is the home page, but you'll see here at the top, there's all sorts of training and templates. We have some wonderful guides, some instructions on how it works. Our resources were built based on resources that have been used at markets over the years, trying to really hone a system that is both customizable and that you can decide how much time and effort you're able to spend on data collection and choose your metrics in that way, as well as choose which metrics are most relevant to your goals and your potential funders and your potential customers, and focus on collecting data that speaks to that audience. So we also have all of the data collection methods listed here. So if you're just interested in learning more about the data collection methods, we want to make it as open as possible for everyone to use. So you can go here and see full instructions on how we recommend performing a visitor count. And there's a visitor count worksheet you can download. There's a little video to watch on how you enter the data into our farmers market metrics online tool. And that's how you create those one-page summary reports like the Richmond markets had. If you use our online platform and you enter the data into that platform, you can automatically generate these one-page summary reports. So stay tuned on our promotion efforts in that last year of that project. We're going to have some wonderful media toolkits and guides that everyone can use. National Farmers Market Week was a huge success this year. We had a lot of interest. There were 1,670 downloads of the media toolkit. We had a lot of interest from national media resources or outlets, including radio stations, which were really fun to do some interviews on. The Secretary of Agriculture, you can see on the top right here, visited the USDA market during National Farmers Market Week and got to chat with Allie, you can see there. And we had 10 featured markets across the country who we worked with the USDA to develop some media materials to make sure they had really wonderful National Farmers Market Week events in hopes that they would be used as examples for other markets. So you can take a look at all the wonderful work they're doing, these 10 featured markets, and pull some examples into your own market promotional efforts. And we were able to work with the USDA to get a couple wonderful visitors to those markets, including Undersecretary Iba at the Boulder County Farmers Markets, the one that they have downtown in Denver. He had a great visit. And that's what we really want to encourage, making sure that markets use that opportunity to bring public officials to their market and really showcase what they're doing. The infographic that you see here garnered 1,500 shares and 200,000 plus reach on Facebook alone. And as I mentioned before, the hashtag Farmers Market Week hashtag had 38.2 million impressions. So that's really a big increase over our National Farmers Market Week efforts in previous years. We also had a lot of participation in the hashtag Love My Market Instagram contest, and you'll see some photos here on the right of folks showcasing their I Heart Farmers Markets tattoos in wonderful and creative ways. Again, just a really fun way to have people express their love for their market, and the really wonderful entries also in the captions describe why they shop at their market. And there's some really powerful statements there that we were excited to see. This upcoming National Farmers Market Week will be the 20th anniversary of National Farmers Market Week, so we're pretty excited to make a big stink about it. And in terms of FMC's partners, we had some really exciting initiatives this year. The poster contest, which we have had many years, and hopefully many of you have entered, we had a great partner in the Farm Aid this year. So they sponsored the prize money and then also had us display all these wonderful posters at Farm Aid in the Homegrown Village. And it just received a ton of interest. Folks were coming in all day to check out the posters and try to find their market and tell us why they love their market and get excited about not only what the market is doing, but also how the markets are promoting themselves within the communities. We also have been working with Buy Fresh, Buy Local. FMC was awarded the rights to administer the Buy Fresh, Buy Local program from the Pennsylvania Association for Sustainable Agriculture, who had created it and administered it in the past. It had sort of fallen. There are some wonderful chapters out there who didn't have sort of the support that they were used to, and that there's monthly phone calls and the chapters help each other think of ideas and print wonderful local food guides and that type of thing, and really serve as the leaders within their communities of what it means to be local and the go-to place for those regions and those communities for folks who really are looking for authentic options. We took on this work because so many of our members are involved in Buy Fresh, Buy Local initiatives, and we really saw it as an opportunity to help promote our members if these Buy Fresh, Buy Local chapters are really strong and working on the ground to do that for them. So we'll be continuing to develop the Buy Fresh, Buy Local resources in the upcoming year. And we also had a really wonderful partnership with Ambetter, which is an insurance provider, to provide 14 markets $6,000 in vouchers for their customers to spend on fruits and vegetables. This just came to a close at the end of December, so we're getting the reports back now. It was incredibly well received, and we're hoping to continue to build and grow that relationship with Ambetter and bring that opportunity to more of our members. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ben Feldman, Interim Executive Director, to talk a little bit about what FMC has in the works for this upcoming year.
Thanks, Jen. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Great, thanks. Welcome to everybody on the call. All right, thanks for everybody being on the call. I'm thrilled with this opportunity that the board has provided me to serve as interim executive director and hopefully executive director beyond that. Having worked with FMC over the last 2 years in the position of policy director and having served on the board previously, I'm again thrilled at this opportunity and know that we have the resources to do amazing things over the next year and beyond. So our plans for the next year include obviously a transition. Transitions are great opportunities for reevaluating work, looking at opportunities, and generally assessing where an organization is. As Jen mentioned, we completed our 2018 member survey, and that provided us with a lot of good information about what our members are thinking and what they need in order, what you all need in order to support your work and be effective. So one of the things that we'll be doing over the next year is refreshing our website and resource library in order to make it more user-friendly and a better resource for all of you to utilize. We'll also be working on completing our 3-year strategic plan. We began that process last year and look forward to completing it over the next year. This is certainly something where feedback from our members is particularly helpful in us developing a path forward. We've also got some pretty significant, as Jen identified, wins in the Farm Bill, and those wins, while policy wins are important, they're followed by the implementation process, and we need to keep our eye on the prize, as it were, as that implementation process rolls forward. So we'll be working with our policy partners as well as USDA in order to ensure that those policy wins that came out of the Farm Bill turn into wins in practice once those aspects of the Farm Bill turn into either regulations or RFPs for grants, however that individual programs roll out. And of course, we'll continue to advocate for the needs of farmers markets at the federal level, including programs that are Farm Bill related, but the work of the Farm Bill, again, obviously slows down a little bit and moves more into an implementation role rather than a policy advocacy role. But there are other programs that are not part of the Farm Bill that we'll continue to advocate and build support for, including the WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program and SNAP programs at farmers markets, in particular focusing on including no-cost wireless equipment in state SNAP contracts. We've also obviously got some of our wonderful celebrations, such as the National Farmers Market Week again for 2019. And then, of course, very excited to announce that you all should mark your calendar for the next, I guess we'd call it the second annual Direct Agricultural Marketing Summit, which again will take place October 6 to 9, 2019 in the Chicago area. Of course, more details to come on that as they're solidified with USDA and our other partners. So mark your calendars, but keep your eyes peeled for all of the rest of the details on that. And again, I look forward to getting to know many of you. And for those of you who I've had the privilege of working with, I look forward to continuing and deepening our relationships. We've got our work cut out for us, but it's good work to do, and I'm glad to be engaged in it. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions or comments related to the work over the last year, or looking at work that FMC has done or FMC will be doing in the future. So you can either ask those questions through the chat box, go ahead and type them in there, or you can use the raise hand function, and we'll go ahead and call on you. So again, go ahead and feel free to type any questions or comments you have in the chat box, and we can go ahead and unmute you if you want to use the raise hand function.
And Ben, while we're waiting for questions to come in, it might be a great opportunity for you to introduce yourself a little bit more so that everyone knows your background and your roots in farmers markets and your very impressive experience.
Sure, thanks, Jen. So I've worked in farmers markets for over 15 years now, pretty much in every possible configuration. I started selling at a farm roadside stand and sold at farmers markets for a bakery. So I've got experience selling, and then I moved into market management and worked for many years as a market manager. I helped to form the California Alliance of Farmers Markets and worked with overseeing the California Market Match program at the Ecology Center. Working there as the director of food and farming programs for just over 10 years. And then I've spent the last 2 years working as policy director at FMC. And I do see that we've got some questions in the chat box, so I'm going to go ahead and the first one is a policy question, so I'll go ahead and take that one. And Rebecca asks, is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program in the Farm Bill? And the answer is yes. Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program and the WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program are, even though they're administered in basically the same way, they are not funded, or they're not authorized through the same bill. So the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program is part of the Farm Bill, and it received, in the 2018 Farm Bill that just passed, it received the same level of funding that it received in the previous Farm Bill. We did early in the process advocate for additional funding and the addition of a veterans component. That didn't move forward, not because there wasn't support for it, but more to do with the way it was structured and trying to involve the Veterans Administration in that more. Looks like our next question is from Elise Ashby. And the question is, what do markets need to do to get materials for National Farmers Market Week? I'm going to go ahead and let Ali or Anesta take that one.
Hi, all. Can you hear me? This is Anesta.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi. So we have our National Farmers Market Week resources on our website, and I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in there right now for you, Elise. And I just suggest going out there and perusing it. Check out all that we have to offer. There's a webinar. There's all sorts of resources and templates. We have market swag and gear that you can get to use at events and celebrations at your market. You also find the advocacy toolkit in our resources, so that you can use Farmers Market Week as a reason to invite elected officials out to your market, and other information on the contest that we offer too.
Thanks, Nesta. It looks like Lisa also had a question about insurance. And is there a suggested or best insurance company for farmers market coverage? Liz, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We have worked with Campbell Risk Management for many, many years, and all of our members seem to be really happy with them. They have safe coverage, and it's a great company to work for. I've heard that their rates are actually going to be decreasing in the coming year, and they're going to be able to provide service in all 50 states, which is new for them. So I would definitely reach out to Larry Spilker at Campbell Risk Management. And also you can email us if you come across another company and want to know if we've heard about them.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So this is Hugo. I would recommend the Alliance for Nonprofit Insurance. That is very affordable, and if you are a nonprofit, it also has like coverage for other things. It's highly recommended.
Thanks, Hugo. And for those of you who either didn't see on the earlier slide or don't know, Hugo is the FMC board president. It looks like we've got another question from Holly Martin, and she asks, there's a question on the survey on pre-ordering at farmers markets. Is this something that FMC will providing guidance on or something of that nature? Our market is really looking closely at launching an online ordering platform. That's a great question, Holly. It's certainly something that is becoming more and more of a question for farmers markets, and many are working with, there are a couple different pre-ordering platforms that are available out there. I think, what do you think, Anesta? Is that something that we could put a blog post together on? I'd be happy to work with you on that one.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, so Holly, it's something that is, as I said, a growing interest and need among farmers market operators, and there are a few different options out there. So we'd be happy to provide a blog post that looks at some of the various options for y'all. So thanks for bringing that one up. I think it's an interesting question. And we got a question from Molly, who wasn't able to get on the call at the beginning, and asked if the slideshow will be available for review after the meeting. And yes, we're recording not just, so the slideshow is our annual report, which will be published for everybody later in the week. We are giving members a sneak preview of it, but we are recording this meeting, and so both the recording of the meeting and the annual report will be available after the meeting. Rebecca asks if we could get a link for the insurance company that Hugo provided. Yes, Hugo, if you have information, would you mind just dropping that in the chat box?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you, Hugo. Michelle asks, is there any recent news with Novadia? Are folks still continuing with them for the next season? I did see that Ricky with Novadia is actually on the call today, so I'm going to check and see if he's still with us, and if so, maybe Ricky would be comfortable. I see him on the line. Maybe, Ricky, do you think you could answer that question for folks? Oh, he may not. I see, he may not have audio. So I will mention we did reach out to Novadia just before this call to check in with them. No, our understanding is we don't have an update in terms of specifics. Ricky did clarify they have not announced a shutdown in February. However, we do know that the funding that came through from the state of New York was scheduled to get them through the end of February, and we'd like to clarify additional information related to that, and we'll continue to try and do as much as we can to share that information with all of our members. So we'll be, again, following up with them, and we do have a blog post planned. Short answer is we don't have additional information beyond what we've provided to all of our members most recently. We had a question here about the Pop Club and how markets would get involved in the Pop Club. And then Liz already responded to that by providing a link here to the Pop Club information. Other questions?
Ben, I believe you covered, or Jen covered, this is Anesta, the board of directors election at the beginning of the presentation. I hopped on a little late. I just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to vote. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat box one more time so everybody has it.
Thanks, Anesta. Yeah, so as a reminder, again, only members are able to vote in our board elections. Voting closes on the 15th, so you got about a week. So please do vote. We want to make sure that our board members represent the interests of our members. And again, we have a wonderful slate of candidates moving forward for 2019. And additionally, those remaining on in their current terms through 2019. We've got a question here from Jade about when the report will be publicly available. We'll have it publicly available by the end of the week. Any other comments or questions from folks? Okay, seeing none, we'll just take this opportunity to thank everybody for joining us for our annual member meeting. Again, we've had a great 2018, very much looking forward to 2019. Jen, do you have anything that you want to say in closing?
Just that I'm very excited about what's in store, and I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as executive director of FMC. It's come such a long way, and there's still so much to do, but I think we're really well positioned, and we have a wonderful both board and staff to make sure we can continue moving forward and reaching some of the goals that have been talked about for many years, as well as the new challenges that are coming up in the local food marketplace and the food access world of tech. So really confident in Ben and the board, and excited to see how 2019 rolls out.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to working with you over the next year. If you didn't get it, if you have a question that you didn't get answered, but you'd like to, feel free to contact us directly. And we look forward to working with you over the next year. Thanks and goodbye.